I just hit record as a backup on my computer.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And I'm ready.
Lisa, you were cutting in and out when you were talking, so you know.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Okay, folks, we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to start our recording. Welcome everybody to our Mad About Mattering information session. We're so glad to see so many folks that are here on the webinar with us. I'm so excited to have several wonderful people on this information session with us. I'm Alessia Bhatia. I am one of the founders of Perseverance and the Mad Learn program that we're going to be talking about today with Vicki. And it's so great to see so many familiar names here on the webinar and many new friends as well. So welcome again. I'm so excited to introduce my co-host and wonderful partner in Mad About Mattering, Vicki Davis. Many of you may know Vicki as Cool Cat Teacher on Twitter and the Cool Cat Teacher blog that she of course writes and does wonderful things with. And here's Vicki.
Hi everybody, Vicki Davis, and I'm excited to be here and talk about what we've got going and how some of you hopefully can join in what I would consider the best collaborative project that I've ever worked with. And I've also got Lisa Durf in with me. She's in as Vicki Davis as well, but we've been having a few internet glitches today. So I hope you'll forgive us for that. And back to you, Alethea.
And I was going to say, I have my wonderful colleague Greg Stone on also, and Greg is also in as Alethea for some reason, but many of you may know Greg. Greg is our wonderful customer success advocate, head of all things customer relations, and of course many of you have done training with Greg, so you will be hearing from Greg a lot over the next few months as well. So say hi to everybody, Greg.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Is my mic working now?
Yep, you're good.
Great.
Well, what we wanted to do today, folks, and Vicki, if we could hop over to our next slide, and I just want to make sure everybody, and I know we have our chat going, I just wanted to make sure that everybody can hear us, and I hear that the audio is all over the place. Can everybody hear us okay? And hear Vicki? More importantly, can you hear Vicki? Okay, and everybody in, oh good, excellent. I'm so glad to hear that, Graham. Everybody in the chat, if you have any problems or any questions as we go, please do let us know, chat with us, and we will be able to respond to those as we go. So now that we have all of our audio set and situated, I wanted to share with you a few things that we wanted to cover in our webinar today. The first thing that we wanted to talk with you about is an overview of what we did last year. So Mad About Mattering was launched last year. The first year that we did it was in January of 2016, so last school year, and this is the second year that we will be doing the program. So Vicki and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the successes and the things that we learned from last year's experience, and also cover with you what our plan is for this year and how we're looking at it in a whole new light with amazing learnings from last year and what the plan will be for this year. So that's the second part of our information session today. The biggest piece of this, though, is questions from you. You're all here because you've heard a little bit about Mattering, or you've registered for it already. You're interested in doing this with your students. So we want to make sure you have all of the information that you need to make a decision on if this is something you can do starting January, and ask us questions and make sure you have everything cleared up before we end our session today. So that's a big part of it. And of course, at the end, hopefully we will have a phenomenal dream team of teachers and schools who are excited about the program this year. So that's our agenda for today. And of course, as many of you know, Vicki Davis is a phenomenal leader in education. She has been a champion and a personal friend for many years, but she is the author of the Cool Cat Teacher blog, and she records and runs the Every Classroom Matters podcast and a million different things. I don't know how she does it all, but she does, and she's wonderful. And hopefully you, even if you have not heard of Vicki yet or haven't had the opportunity to work with her yet, you will be able to this semester, because I know I learn from her so much every single day. So I'm so glad to formally introduce Vicki to you and tell you a little bit about me and our background. As I mentioned, Greg Stone is on our team here. He's in the webinar with us today. But we launched the Mad Learn program. Mad is Mobile App Development Learn, and we launched it about 2 years ago with Vicki being one of the first teachers to do the program with her students. And we've just been so excited to see the work that students can produce when we empower them, enable them, and engage them with technology creation, specifically here with app development. The kinds of things that we've seen are just awe-inspiring. And so we try to do more every day, and people like Vicki and all of you here in the room today are our energy to keep this going. So without further ado, I will hand over to Vicki. I know Vicki has a lot of wonderful things to share with us, starting with what we did about the program last year.
So, hey, everybody. I hope that you'll go ahead and just share in the chat if you can find the little chat window, and maybe, Lisa, you can help them find the chat. Just where you're from. So let's take a look at your locations in the world and what ages you teach. So we have Gay from Illinois. Hello, Gay. How are you? Let's see. I'm from Georgia. I guess I could type that in the chat here in a minute if you can't tell from my accent. Okay, Diane, you're from South Carolina. And so we'll see. Yes, we have Alethea from Atlanta, Andy from Kennesaw State. I have some former students from there, some graduates. Lindsay, Matthew from Jersey, awesome. And so I know we have some others in there, and this is also being recorded. So let me go ahead as you share. Graham from Ontario, very good. And Greg from Pennsylvania, awesome. So let's talk about what we did last year and kind of give you an overview or a vision of what you could expect with this. So those of you who may have followed some of the collaborative projects that I've worked with for over 10 years now, I've done more than 30 projects, and the big thing is this: we need our students collaborating together. So they like to work face-to-face if they have to work in a team. But that is not the real world. I know Alethea's team is all over the world, literally. So we want our students to have that while they're still, you can do that. Way back when I did the very first flight, we video to each other, and we wrote a wiki together. Now we can program apps together, and last year we weren't even sure we could do it, and we're about to get much, much better at it. This is what we did last. Take you through it. So at first, when you open up, you're getting everybody to join all the spaces. You want them to join the wiki, and you want them to get connected. And when you do that, we typically do so it could be as simple as a couple kids. Hey, I'm John, play video games. I'm Matthew, and I really like football. And they just share their information. You can look and see last year. Let me see if I can turn off my video since it says I'm cutting out. Alethea, since I have you as host, I don't know if you can right-click on me and turn off my video for me, showing my video, but if we do that, it may free up some bandwidth. And I will get closer to my mic, which means I may be a little, let me tilt this way, get closer to my mic. If she can, is that a little bit better? Let's see if that's better. Okay. Hope that helps. Gay, is that better now? Great. Okay. So I'm just having a few internet problems. Don't usually have it, but today we are. So the virtual handshake is just that the kids are getting to know each other. So you can see here, some kids, did machinima. Other kids just did video. Lots of kids did different ways with their virtual. And that's how we kind of get to know each other, get familiar with each other. Then after that, we have kids mapped what we call their heartbreak. Now that's going to change this year, and we're going to map the heartbeat. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then we go through a process of red lighting, green lighting, and yellow lighting. And for those of you who join, I'll tell you more about the details of how that works. But basically, most of the apps or the ideas don't even have to be red lighted. They'll be yellow lighted. Yellow light means it's not ready to go into production yet until you do this, this, and this. Well, sometimes the students will say, okay, we're not willing to do the work it's going to take to get us to a green light. So we actually want to go over to this team or to that team. So there's a whole process for doing this where it's really the kids self-organizing, and a fantastic process. And the great thing about participating is that in a lot of ways you're getting leading, bleeding edge training on how to collaborate and develop apps that you can take back and use in all your classes with this knowledge. So then after that, we start, once we go into production, each of the apps has a Trello board. Now, this is the Trello board for the domestic violence team. And we use real world techniques that, yes, you can use. You don't need to be scared. We use Trello, but this is called Agile Software Development. Now, if you want to look on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/CoolCatTeacher, you can see a lot of the videos of how we set things up and what we did and how we coordinated work. And we'll be updating some of the material this year as well to kind of make it easier to use. But each team has a space where they're collaborating and working together. They also have a space in Mad Learn with parents where they're working together and they're creating their apps together. Now, here you can see an example of a student. They created an app about domestic violence, and all of the apps, they actually create trailers and just a little bit of a pitch website telling about the app, as well as the app being live on the Mad Learn store. So this is actually from last year in one of the trailers that was created. Now, we had 13 apps total, and then we had a judging process. So the 13 went down to the top 5, and then those presented online. Now, teachers, we have the Zoom room, which we're using now, and you can have all your students present online if you want to, but these are actually collaborative presentations. So we require that at least 2 schools have to present per app, but last year it was typically 3 or 4, and we actually wrote those on a Google Doc, and they presented. It was fantastic. And our winner was Uncut, which was an app that was intended to help kids do better with cutting and to have healthy alternatives to that very harmful kind of scary practice. And the apps are actually, a lot of these you can look at on the Mad store. So you can download a Mad app, and Alethea can tell you more about later about how that works, where you just enter the code and you can actually look at the apps live. Now, this is one of the most exciting things, because as the kids are doing the app and making the app, they hit the little refresh button. They can go on their phones or their iPads, and they can look at the app live as they're making it. You talk about getting kids excited about writing and working on apps. The unique method of that's used by Alethea and her team is just something I really like. So this year, though, we're doing something slightly different. Yes, am I still cutting out?
No. You're doing great. I just wanted to add a couple of things. I know we're about to start talking about this year and what we're doing this year, but folks, just to kind of summarize the idea from last year, Vicki wanted to have an experience with her students and with teachers and students across the country and across the world, where we are building apps collaboratively across classroom walls and across your school walls. And so we had 5 schools that participated last year, including Vicki and the Westwood schools. We had Ron Clark Academy. We had a school here up in Hall County in Georgia. Several schools across the country that were really excited about alphaing this project last year. And so these 5 schools work together, their students work together online through a wiki, through the entire process of building the app together, sharing what their passion was, and presenting, like Vicki mentioned, online with an online virtual Shark Tank that we did. And we had phenomenal judges that joined us last year. Our sharks included the head of Amazon Education, the head of Google Education. We had folks from Microsoft, from the US Department of Ed, that were sharks and judging these students' apps as they presented online to their peers and to the audience. So it was very, very exciting. And our hope is that this year we can have many more than 5 schools, hopefully several cohorts of schools that will still be working in sort of a quad format. So we'll have groups of 4 or 5 schools that we'll be working with and collaborating with each other. But I know we have some folks here in the audience that are from New Zealand, folks from all over the country here. We have several teachers from Canada that are going to be participating. So we're very, very excited about growing it from 5 schools to hopefully several quads of schools this year.
Yes. Thank you for that summary, Alethea. I appreciate it very much. It's finals week here, so y'all, many of you teachers probably understand what the end of the grading period is like, and we needed that clarification. Are there any other questions that anybody wants to type in the chat about what we did last year? You're welcome to look at madaboutmattering.wikispaces.com. You can see all the student work and everything that was going on and all the excitement, and we learned a lot because it was alpha, so it was the first time we had done it, and there were 5 schools that participated, not just my school that participated as well. So I don't see any questions in the chat. Do you, Alethea? Okay, I'll make sure I'm getting everything. Okay, so we're shifting to this year and saying, okay, what is this year going to look like? Now, one thing you need to remember is that this is a teacher-led project, so it's not like Vicki sits here and says, okay, everybody, this is what we're going to do. The teachers meet, last year we met every Monday at 7. We met online in a room. If you couldn't come, then the teachers are just required to take a listen to what's going on and respond. And we would meet and plan each week and adjust what schools we're going to have, because, of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, many schools in Australia, for example, are getting out for summer break right now. So if we end up signing up some schools from the Southern Hemisphere, we may have to push back the start a little bit. So realize that we can tweak some of the start and end dates, and there's some ways we can do that as well. So let's dive into what we're looking at for this year. So the one, Alethea traveled down to Manish from Atlanta to spend time with my students to get feedback. And one of the things that the students said was that we were mapping our heartbreak, which is fantastic. We kind of modeled that after the Choose to Matter movement in my friend Angela Myers and how they mapped their heartbreak. But here's what happened is that the kids really felt like they were just watching depressing things all the time. So it was really kind of, things from abused animals to domestic violence. And it kind of had a little bit, human trafficking, very, very important topics for sure. But the spin was not as positive as we really, really wanted. So we, one of the kids actually said it, said, why couldn't we map our heartbeat instead of a heartbreak? Like, what are the things that make our hearts beat for improving the world and making things better in the world? So we've shifted to heartbeats instead of heartbreaks this year. So they'll be mapping their heartbeats and things that they really want to do to improve the world. So our guiding question this year is, how can you meet a need by developing an app that matters to our world? So meet a need is important because the kids have to actually prove that, hey, there is a need here. They can't just say, oh, we want to send rice to Mars. You have to prove that there is a need, and then after you prove there's a need and you create a team for doing that, then you development that matters to our world. So we have 5 aims. First of all, we want to help students make the world a better place by tackling problems that matter. Now notice, this is problems, it may or may not be problems that matter to you or me, because this is about getting into the kids' world and relating to them. And we know that when we understand their hope, dreams, and worries, that we relate to students and learning becomes more powerful. So social entrepreneurs piece. The second is we want to help students become collaborative leaders. So we want to help them understand, how do you collaborate with other people in the world? I have students who've already come back and they have businesses and they're collaborating with people all over the world because they truly understand what collaboration looks like, and they understood it in high school. So it transforms students in their understanding of how the world works. So we want collaborative leadership. Number 3, we want to help students be inventors and creators of technology. We don't want them to just use apps. We want them to make apps. We want them to create apps. We want them to do things with it. We don't want them to be just consumers. We have to have that shift of creative innovation. Now, for us, the teachers, we want to, when we do this project, we share like crazy. We're telling everybody what we're doing. We're talking about how it works. We're talking about how we connect. We're even talking about the struggles of collaboration, because when you have kids collaborate, just like when you have adults collaborate, especially when they're not face-to-face, you have challenges, you have obstacles, you have to have things they overcome. So this is real-world teaching. Yes, there are problems. Yes, there are challenges, but you can't get any more real world than collaboration, because the kids are collaborating and working together. So there is a way to teach this, and we want to share it with other educators, because honestly, so many projects that you see out there are like a neat little packaged, we'll mail you this, and then you fill out a workbook, and it's not really collaborative. And we need to flatten our classrooms. We need to connect our classrooms and remove the walls and literally merge our classrooms together. So we want to create a model and model what others can follow. But then the big thing is we want to do work that matters in the classroom. We want things to actually be relevant to our kids. Now, one thing that I loved about last year is we attracted schools, public, private, parochial, charter, every kind of school you can imagine. So it was an extremely diverse group. And if you think about it, every school in some ways is kind of homogeneous because it's got one type of makeup. So when you connect with other types of schools different from your own, you can really have all kinds of different cultural experiences. So that's fantastic. Now, we've got the website up. It's madaboutmattering.com, and you'll see a lot of resources there, timelines, and that sort of thing. Now, here's the current timeline that the student-teacher handshakes would kick off in February. Mid-February, we'll work to topic selection. We did last year have some blogging that happened, but it kind of slowed us down a little bit. And we have to really go quickly because April is kind of a month for spring breaks here in the United States. So we have to be really in the throes of app development within March so that we can get done in time. And we do budget and plan for testing and other things. And teachers, when they sign up, tell us when they are preferably 3 times or more is helpful. And remember that we're all working at different times. So it does not have to be at the same time. One teacher may have kids for 3 hours once a week, and I have my kids 50 minutes 5 times a week, unless we have some kind of sports event or something happening. So it takes all kinds, and we know how to work with that. Your app creation and completion will be happening in April. And they're not just creating, they are making trailers and movies, and they're making a web kind of, rather to market the app and talk about. And so then online, we have a virtual Shark Tank teams this year in the schools, and we may have a series. We may have some in early May and some maybe even in mid-May, just depending on. So we'll be taking a look at that. And then hopefully in May or early June, then the apps that win will go live. Now, there are prizes this year. And Alethea, I was hoping you could talk about this since you have worked so hard to do some incredible things this year, because last year it was pretty much, okay, here's your app and there you go, you won. But this year it's got more. So take it over, Alethea.
Absolutely. And folks, I know Vicki was cutting out just a little bit in between, so I was trying to type some of the things that she was saying into the chat. Again, any questions that you have, please do let us know if any of those things didn't come through correctly. But we're very, very excited about the prizes that our top 3 student teams will be winning this year. Hopefully, I know Vicki mentioned we had 13 student teams last year, and hopefully we'll have double or triple of that this year. We're very, very excited about teachers have already shown so far, and we just launched registration last week. So very exciting. Our first prize with our top student team, which will be selected again by the Sharks and the judges online in the virtual Shark Tank. Our first prize will include publishing of that winning app to the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store for 2 years. So the student team will actually have the ability to work and collaborate with each other over a 2 year period of time if they choose to do so, and continue to upgrade and update their app live. Many students have talked to investors and other business folks to help them kind of take their ideas to the next level. So we're hoping that we can do that. students, all the winning team will have an opportunity to do internships with our company. For those that are local here in Atlanta, absolutely in the office. If not, it will be a virtual internship opportunity. We've heard from students across the board that they're so interested in a project like this. They want to learn more. They want to know more what it's like to work on a team and a geographically dispersed team. So we will be providing internship opportunities to those winners. We also have for the first prize a 3-hour advisory session with our MadLearn team to help those students take that app and really understand how to take it to the next level, to launch it as a business, to launch it as a community project, to really get the kinds of downloads and viewers that they want on their app. So they'll have a 3-hour session with us. They also will have the opportunity to be Mad mentors for other students that are doing the project in future years across the world. Vicki, I know some of your students from last year had really enjoyed the process, and maybe they're available to be mentors this year, but these students will have the opportunity to mentor and be guided and trained in how to mentor other students throughout the world. And of course, last but not least, they will have t-shirts and a winner certificate that they get for that first prize. And our second and third prizes are components of that first prize that each team will win. So very excited about being able to do that with our students this year.
And we are too. I will say that when we have our app recognition, I always recognize all of our winners at our academic banquet every year. It's a pretty big deal when kids win and what they do. So we are seeking qualified, interested, and highly motivated school students aged 13 through 18. There may be a possibility, Alethea, I think, for some cohorts of younger schools, younger students. We just have to keep them separate because of the COPPA requirements. Are we able to do that this year? If we get enough?
Our major focus is going to be on sort of 8th and high school level, upper school. I don't know that we have received interest yet from elementary schools, but if we do have a group of teachers at a younger level that are interested, we can definitely talk and see what we can do. But currently we are focused on the high school level.
Now, last year, I know we had an elementary teacher who we let her come to our teacher meetings, and she didn't do collaborative, but she kind of took our, lesson plans and adapted them for her elementary. So there may be some cross-pollination, of course, that could happen like that, I guess. Okay, so the big thing to remember is one of our secrets of success is the weekly teacher meeting. This is recorded, and typically it's a little better quality than we're experiencing. We've had some Georgia, so I think that's what's going on. And you can expect at least the first 5 to 6 weeks, and then after that we do that as needed. Lisa Dorff, who's in here with us tonight, there's two, one of them is me and one of them is Lisa, helps with all of this. Since I'm a full-time classroom teacher, she has coordinated projects with me for I don't know how many years, Lisa, but she's an expert in how to help collaborate and connect. Also do need to make sure you read your email. So this is not a project in a box. This is collaborative between the teachers as well as others. I see my internet's acting up again. Am I still on, or do we need to let you take over the slides, Alethea? Am I cutting off? Okay, so we're okay. Okay, so our connections, our asynchronous is on the wiki. We do have a blog on WordPress, and we want to talk to that about the teachers. Our hashtag on Twitter is actually apps that matter. We'll probably stick with that unless we have a reason to go otherwise. Trello will be our project management tool, and we use Skype. We have Skype chats and just kind of running continually in case you need help. You can find somebody online in that way, and then the Zoom room as well for our presentations and that sort of thing. So these are kind of our tools. We will see how many cohorts we have for how many lead teachers we have. I'll be working and mentoring and helping guide with everybody. And of course, my students will be in the project. I believe I have 62 students this year for the project, so we're very, very excited. This is a big part of what we do. Our program is becoming very well known in South Georgia, and of course, beyond. It's funny how sometimes people around the world can know of you more than your own area, but we are well known now, for developing apps and making movies and all kinds of really cool things. So we'll also be announcing some mentors as we go through the project as well. So what kind of information will you have? Well, of course, you'll have the teacher meetings we already talked about. We have lots of YouTube videos from last year and we create tutorials and videos, so don't feel like you have to be an expert. We work together to make sure that we have all of those materials, and I always release videos. You can see a lot of them on my YouTube channel that I mentioned earlier. We have all kinds of information posted on the wiki and the hashtag, and we have experts and mentors. So there's just all kinds of ways that we share that information so that you all have access for that. And again, type your questions in the chat as well. Now, how will the students leave a learning legacy? Of course, they'll have the app, and it will be on the MAD store, and those that win will go live on the Google Play and the iTunes store. They'll also have their pitch page. This is where they pitch their idea. They first map their heartbeat, and then once they get moved to the next stage, they pitch their idea, what they want to do. They have, of course, we have the online Shark Tank. And again, like we did last year, that any school that wants to do their own little summit where they present for their own community we're happy to make Zoom. Now, I'm not going to read this to you. This will be available online, but there are a lot of different ways you can integrate this with your curriculum. Now, this is not coding per se. This is very object-oriented. Of course, are inserting hyperlinks. You can do some basic HTML, but we're very much focusing on the process of inventing and creating apps, the marketing piece of it, the graphic piece of it, and just understanding what is prototyping and what is testing and alpha testing and beta testing. So everything about app development you really dig deep into, but you're not really heavily coding per se. Alethea, why don't you help clarify that so everybody can kind of understand that piece?
Sorry, I was responding to the chat and a little distracted. You were talking about the computer science piece?
Yeah, this is not really coding. This is more, the big picture. How do you create apps, and how do you prototype and alpha test and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. Happy to talk about that. So as Vicki mentioned, folks, we are not a coding program, and that's very specific and by design. We know that coding is important. There's no doubt about that. I know last year was just the week of code, and it's great if you are doing coding activities in your school. That's wonderful. You should be. It's an important thing. Our perspective on how we're exposing students to technology creation is a more holistic 50,000-foot overview. Coding is a piece of it, and just kind of take our company as an example, right? We are a technology company, and we have coders, we have developers on our team, but those are a part of our team. We also have designers, we also have business analysts, we have project management, we have entrepreneurs, and we're all entrepreneurs in our own way. We have, and I mentioned designers, so there's many components, testers, quality assurance. There's many components of what goes into a successful product company or technology company. And so that's the framework that we're really teaching the students, is the entire process of product development, from idea and mind mapping and planning to creation, which you can do very simply with our MadLearn tool. Creation, testing, getting feedback, iterating, the entire process, of course, which is design-based thinking, is what we are focusing on exposing students to. And some of you may know the program can start as early as the 3rd grade and go all the way up through high school. And in high school is where we're focusing on a project like Mad About Mattering. But the goal is to really look at it from an overall arching, holistic perspective, as opposed to just the code. There are some coding components. If you wanted to do that in the program, you could absolutely do that, but it's not the focus.
So there's some great questions in here from some people I know. I'm so happy to see Melanie Wiscount in here. Melanie, of course, asked about the large number, 100 students, and that is doable. Last year we had from 3 to actually had 90, which was larger. Now we do try to have some requirements. So for example, I have 3 different classes that make up my 60-something number, and typically in a classroom, I try not to have more than 3 kids per team in a particular classroom, because you don't want to have too many in one class. In fact, most of mine, I just let there be 1 or 2 on a team. So I literally forced it to, so it's not like you have a whole classroom of kids that are working on one app. You would not want that, because that would be all face-to-face. It wouldn't be collaborative. So there's a whole way that we kind of guide through, Melanie. But Graham is asking about integrating art and tech. Absolutely. Every team, Graham, has graphic designers. So kids sign up to kind of be the graphic designers. Some do things in Photoshop, others do things in other tools that are out there. But yes, not every school has to do the art, though. It just needs to be the schools that are capable on there. So that's definitely a possibility, integrating art and technology. Now, we also have Diane, who says, okay, today. Now, Diana, typically for my classroom, most weeks it is every day. I have to do SAT prep in there. So the SAT prep weeks will be happening in late February, early March, but I'll be spreading that out. So I'll try to be in Mad About Mattering at least 2 to 3 days a week when I'm dealing with that. But 5 days a week is awesome, but not everybody can do that. A minimum of 2 to 3. There is some flexibility if we plan ahead. Now, when you get into the throes of app development, where you're really right in the middle, your kids are going to want to do it almost every day. They just do. Otherwise, they feel left behind and the other partners get frustrated. But you just want to do it as much as you can. And we can have more time, Diana, when if you decide you want to participate, I could spend some more time talking with you about it as well.
And Vicki, could I just add one piece to that? Diana, Vicki mentioned that at some point the kids are going to be in it and working on it every day. That doesn't mean they have to be in class with you to be working on it.
True.
And that's something that we've seen. We've had kids come in early, they've stayed after school, they've worked on it on the weekends, in the evenings, and when it is something that they're excited about and they have the sense of ownership and responsibility to the rest of their team, they're making the time and they're figuring out when they can log in and do what they need to do. And all of the tools that we use are cloud-based, so all they need to have is access to device and internet. But wherever they are, as long as they can get online, they can be participating and working on their project, and they don't have to be physically in the same space or even in class necessarily.
And that is very, very true. I mean, I would say that probably a good 20% of the work my students did was when they were not in class, because they were just excited about it and they're dialing in from home or study hall or homeroom even. They just get excited. And, while I can't tell you that 100% of the kids will get excited, because, what 100% of anybody gets excited about everything? But they when it's done well and it's done right, and if you come to the teachers meetings, we'll teach you how to do it right. You have to have an engaged teacher be part. This is not a put your feet up on your desk and it runs thing, because we are collaborating, we're working together. But it's very fulfilling, I found. So these are all that are on the screen here are pieces that you create with your curriculum. Very heavy with writing, design, digital filmmaking you can pull in, entrepreneurship, web design. There's so many different pieces that you can pull in. Now, this project will be in English. Sometimes we'll have people with different languages, and we can work with that, but the primary language is going to be English. We will use wikis, not blogs as much. Wiki is a little bit more important, but we can teach you, but you to have some familiarity and be some sort of, a little bit technically proficient with things. We will use Trello, and we can teach you how to use that, but if you know how to use it, that's awesome. You should be able to trust your students to be able to write without pre-approval. There can be some moderation, but, they need to be somewhat trusted in the space. We will be monitoring, and there is a way to flag and report things. But, you need to have some trust there. Older students, all my students use Twitter, and, the accounts we set up with Twitter as well. So that is an option, but not required. Each team has a project manager and an assistant project manager, and they are not allowed to be from the same school. Now, some teams will actually come up with other titles like lead editor, trailer, the director of the trailer. They come up with, website designer. They come up with all their own titles and names, and it's very impressive on a resume. But these kids, they, may want to have access at home, but they don't have to. But I tell my kids who do spring sports, that are involved in tennis and track, I'll say, you know what, you're an awesome student, but it's probably not a good idea for you to be project manager or assistant project manager. And we just call them PMs and APMs. It's a great opportunity for leadership. So those kids who are used to making A pluses and making this is a great way to really step up their game and give them an experience they've never had before. So many of my students who get big, like presidential from colleges, they were project of the projects that we did, and a lot of them college. So this is one of those things that really makes them completely different from every other applicant, because they can say that they have managed a collaborative team. So everybody will participate in the app pitch and app development and the handshake. That's all the required pieces that you must participate in. Now, the final Mad Shark Tank, we really, really want everybody to participate. Require that at least 2 schools per app participate in that collaborative presentation. You can also do student summits if you wish to book the Zoom room as well. Now, here's how the teams. We have project managers that I've already talked about, assistant project managers. We did have a couple of co-APMs last year. Students will use the wikis. They'll use Trello. Some of them use tools for mind mapping in Google Docs and other places, and we do allow them to kind of create other spaces if they want to. And as they move on, we do mentor them. Typically, we'll split them up with the teachers so the teachers don't get overwhelmed. When we had 13 apps, we took the 5 teachers, and each of us took 2 or 3 or 4 apps to kind of take the lead with mentoring so it doesn't get overwhelming. And Elisa Durf also mentions that we have sounding boards. We do have places for judges. I mean, this is really a collaborative effort. We love to have pre-service teachers and college level teachers be involved in judging and soundboards, because that's a great way to truly understand how a project like this works and get closer than just, reading the stuff online. So everybody will be collaborating on a pitch as they map their heartbeats and pitch their ideas. They'll be working to create teams. This is not something you assign. There is a way that the kids sign up, and it's so funny because kids who kind of are slow on the draw, they'll say, oh, well, I wanted to be on that team. And you'll say, well, that team is full. You're going to have to pick another. And it really teaches a lot of life lessons for those who kind of, I call them bottom feeders. They're kind of like catfish. They kind of swim around at the bottom and just try to live off the crumbs that float down to the bottom from the other teams and hope, okay, well, if I'm on a good team, then I'll get an A. It doesn't work that way. You have to kind of be a little bit progressive there. And then we all want them to collaborate and work together on Trello and other methods they have. Now, we will work to have some leadership training for them, and we have lots of technical resources as well. So don't feel like that they're hanging out there. But it's very much, if you could think of this like a business, like they're almost running their own little business, except it's not for making profit. It's for making a difference. It's for making change. It's for making the world a better place. But in some ways, it's a lot like a business. And we are, as teachers, are kind of like the consultants and advisors. We don't do the work, they do the work, and we coach and help spur them on. So we do have rubrics we used last year for a lot of the work, and we can share those. And you can assess. I'll give teachers, as we go through the process, lots of ways to assess your kids, because I have to have grades. I'm sure a lot of you do, not to the point where I don't have to have grades. And then we also develop, things across the board that are in weekly teacher meetings. It kind of helps to have consistent rubrics so that we're all on the same page. Now, last year we were in alpha mode. In alpha testing, for those of you who already work with app development, that's like when you're kind of like, okay, we're not really even sure if this can work. And that's where we were last year. We're like, can we actually write apps together? I didn't blog it a lot at the beginning because I was really nervous about it. It was hard. It was challenging. We had amazing teachers, and it was fantastic and transformative. And like I said, the best collaborative project I've ever done was hands down Mad About Mattering. This year it's going to be even better. We are in beta mode. Last year we did it with 1 cohort. This year we hope to do it with 2 or 3. So we've learned a lot. It's going to be a lot better because we cut out a whole lot of stuff that didn't work. and we got lots of feedback from the kids. So excited. And also, my 10th graders will have been through it last year as 9th graders. So I've got some veterans on the project to kind of help. I'm going to be challenging them to help us level up this year and to really help the workflow be very, very smooth. So, Alethea, I'm going to hand it back to you to kind of summarize. And I feel like I'm starting to lose my voice now. So, goodness, everything Camilla is misbehaving.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Folks, just wanted to sort of summarize what we went through today, a little bit of information about what we did in the first year of Mad About Mattering, what we're going to be doing this year, what the timelines are like, what the expectations are like of students and teachers alike. And again, the biggest piece of this is questions. So the rest of the 10 minutes that we have here, we do want to spend time answering any additional questions that you have. Please do feel free to throw them in the chat. I know we talked about a few already, but please let us know what other questions you have as you're thinking through feasibility, time, any aspect of this that you're still kind of thinking through. Can you do this semester?
Kind of quiet, huh, Alethea? You want to give them your email address or an email?
Absolutely. And Vicki, if you can just flip to the next slide. We do have folks, if this is something that you have realized now that you've learned all about it, that you would like to do, please do go to our website and register. There's a register button that is your Mad About Mattering registration. So please do register if this is something that you're excited about and that you know you'd like to do starting January. For those of you that are already MadLearn customers, it's included. This is something that you have as an option already. So hopefully you can take advantage of that. And if you're not already a MadLearn customer, let us know. We can kind of get you set up with the licenses that you need. There's an option to pay online if you'd like to do that, or you can request a contract, or if you need to do a PO or whatever that is. Just so you know, it is $1,750 for the semester-long project. And that's for a single classroom. So it's $1,750 for a classroom to participate. And again, you can sign up if you don't already have MadLearn in your school or your district. You can easily go and sign up and get started online, or just let us know and we would be happy to set you up with that. And I see we have some questions here. Vicki, are there?
Okay, so yeah, I've been trying to respond. So Diana asked, do we have a map? We actually have a Google Calendar, and from last year, you can actually go on the website and look at the classroom calendars and flip back and see what we did when. So yeah, we do have a map of what we did when, but we will meet. We need to see who we have from where, so that we can give you the final date. So that's something, Diana, that we'll release after I come back from break. So probably the first week of January, after we know who's in the project.
Absolutely. And Diana,
Melanie,
I was just going to add one thing, Diana. We do have sort of a rough schedule of week by week what we need to do. But again, as Vicki mentioned, depending on who's a part of the cohorts this year, you may have breaks that happen at different times, and all kinds of schedules that we just want to kind of pull together before we finalize our schedule for the semester.
But you can look at starting the first week of February, and I can, if you're ready to do this, just email me if you need it now, because I know you're probably planning for January right now and want to know what you need to do. So let me know what your timeline is. Melanie, we had 13 teams, and the way we did it last year is that each team had to have, I believe it was I think it was 8 people, but it might have been 7. They had to have at least 8 people from at least 3 different schools. Now, we sized that intentionally. We did have one team, I think, that was around 10 or 11, and we had a max size. So we designed it so that we had kids from all different schools, and then we also did all different classrooms. So a lot of us said, okay, only one person per classroom can participate on a team. So there's all kinds of ways to do that, to construct that as well. Gay, if you'll let Alethea know that you want to judge, and we could kind of figure that out as well. And again, Melanie will work on those sizes. And you will not be completely on your own. Diana, we meet weekly as teachers, and we like to plan the next 3 to 4 weeks out, because I am a planner, and we plan way out with this, Diana. So we'll have the teacher kickoff in it'll be in January, and kind of go through the plan and the dates, and kind of go from there. Okay. And what else, Alethea? Anything else?
Not that I can think of, folks. We do have our email address, our phone number, of course, the website. Vicky's information. I know Lisa just put her email in the chat box as well. Vicky, what is the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
To get up with me?
Mm-hmm.
They can. Okay, I'm cutting out.
We can hear you, Vicky.
She may have lost connection. I can't turn on my video, but the best way to get a hold of her, oh hi, there I am, is to just email me. I'll get a hold of her.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And folks, it does seem like Vicky did drop off. Luckily, she was able to hang on there for the bulk of the info session. But please do email us with any questions that you have. Really appreciate you spending the time with us today to learn more about Matter. So please let us know again if you have any other questions. If you're ready to get started, please do go on the website and register. We're excited to have you be a part of the cohort this year. And we'll go ahead and finish up our info session and close out for this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'll stay on for just a few minutes if there's any other questions that we have. But thanks everybody for joining.
And we're waving to the other Alethea there. And I'm the other, they had an update. It might be that.
And Gay, I don't know if you can,
you need to register.
You can hear me, but yes, if you are interested. What I was gonna say was, Gay, if you are interested in doing this with your 6th graders, go ahead and register. We may have a few other middle school teachers that would like to participate as well, so we may be able to put a cohort of middle schools together. So please do register if you think it's the right fit for you and your students. Do go ahead and register, and we can put a cohort together for you. Excellent.
Yes, and you tell everyone in your school.
Lisa, were you saying something to Gay?
No.
Oh, okay. I think
I just said, just tell everyone in your school, to like everyone who's listening. We still have 5 viewers. Great, excellent. Thank you, Gay.
And Matt, I know you are starting or just started with Madeline just a little while ago. So hopefully this is a good fit for your class in starting in the spring semester. But let us know if there's any other questions that you have. Happy to help you get set up. Excellent. Well, we'll go ahead and close this out here, folks. I'm going to end the meeting. But again, thank you so much for participating and for joining us. Have a great evening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Lisa. Thank you.
And end the meeting that can render by video.
Yes.